Welcome to the meeting of the Old Bridge Township Board of Education.
Thank you.
Pursuant to our bylaws and applicable laws of the state of New Jersey, the board operates meetings consistent on 24 by filing such notice with the township clerk. Dates Tuesday, September 9th, 2014. The board will take formal action on the payment of bills and other agenda items. Mr. Mara?
The board, the Old Bridge Township Board of Education acknowledges that the law of the state establishes that members of the public, including members of the board, have the right to record public board meetings using audio or video recording devices, provided that that act of recording does not interfere with the business of the public board. Therefore, the board makes it known that any such recordings to be considered a private recording of the individual and in no manner represents the official record of this board. The board therefore takes no responsibility for such private recording and completely disavows any future use.
Thank you, Mr. Mara. Roll call.
Warsili?
Here.
Prima?
Here.
Dunn?
Present.
Hopman?
Here.
Mongan?
Here.
Singh?
Yes, sir.
Sirikowski?
Here.
Weber?
Here.
Andriani?
Here.
Quorum exists.
Thank you. Please rise.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That would like to move the board to approve of minutes. You don't need any, approving anything? Okay. Well, I have something that I need to discuss. A few things, actually. One of them is an item that has come up about policy. The last time when we had our board retreat, Wayne Thornton, who was on the School Board's representative, had suggested that when we run committee meetings, that we run them as a committee of just the board members as opposed to out to the public. We had discussed that, and we did not follow through with that. And it turns out that our policies in that area prohibit us from having closed meetings of that particular type. So one of the discussions that Mr. Mara and I had was the possibility of revising some of those policies to give us the option that if we wanted to have a closed meeting just for whatever it might be, at least that option is on the books. So that's something that I wanted to just put out for all of you. Right now, except for negotiations and personnel, all the other meetings are open to the public. Those are the only two. Committee of the whole could be one or the other. So, just so that we have that option, I would like you just to ruminate on that a little while, because otherwise we don't have the option. The other thing is, I've been on the phone and texting back and forth with Gwen Thornton again. And this is about our board responsibility in terms of the superintendent's and the self-evaluation for the board. We still have a few board members that are missing. Now, there are two separate items. We have two conflicted board members, so we need 7, and not the other 2 for Mr. Cedino's evaluation. And we need 9 for the board's self-evaluation. Gwen and I have had several discussions about that, and one of the other board members was doing their online training today, and it was mentioned that we are supposed to be meeting with the superintendent and discussing goals. And we can't do that until we have all those other things done. I spoke to Mr. Parton in that regard, and we have an issue with CUSAC if we don't get this done. And I would like Mr. Parton to at least explain that part to all of you. So if you're somebody, one of the board members that have done both, great. If you haven't done both, you need to do both. And if you're the conflicted member, you need to do the board's self-evaluation and get that done.
As far as the requirements go, there are 2 documents here. There are 2 issues that we're talking about. The board self-eval is governed largely by CUSAC. You can lose points. You know CUSAC CUSAC likes to criticize and praise different boards at different times. They will take governance points away from you if you don't do your self-evaluation. You got to get it done. They're watching. They pride themselves on watching. So you need to submit those documents. With the superintendent evaluation, it is governed not only by the governance section of CUSAC, but also by your board policies, regulations, and the superintendent's contract, any state statute. You have to do that. You're way behind schedule on doing it. So if anybody has not submitted those documents and is not conflicted from submitting them, you got to get it in your own best interests as elected board members. That's it.
I have a question. The self-evaluation,
Yes.
is it for the 2013-14 school year?
Yes, it is.
All right, so any person that was not a board member for the 2013 portion of 2013-14 can still do the evaluation?
Yes. It's,
Because I called New Jersey School Boards and I haven't gotten a message back yet.
yeah, the way that they look at it, and it's not a perfect way to look at it, is if you were a member during the 13-14 school year.
So the new board members were seated as of January 1.
No, I know what you're saying, but I just wanted to make sure because I thought it conflicted if you were not there in 2013.
Yeah.
You came in
And
January
it does.
because now the election changed.
It's just like when an election used to be in April and board members voted on renewal of staff 2 weeks later.
Right, which was,
There are always going to be timing imperfections when your calendar year, your election, and your fiscal year do not all match up.
and it can be done online.
Has to be done online.
All right. Does the business administrator, do you have to like sign us in and what have you?
No, you should already have access on school boards, and if you forgot your password, you put your email address in and click forgot your password, and then email your password back. If you have a problem then let us know and we'll start the process over.
Okay.
Kevin?
What is the next steps once these are all completed? Are we meeting together as a committee of the whole to discuss this?
That was going to be the next point. And coming from you, because of finance, we've already been kicking around dates to having a finance committee, and we couldn't get dates that were applicable to many of us. We need to have a committee of the whole, some type of executive section, so that we can go over the evaluations.
Okay.
Can't do that until they're done, and we should have, really completed those by the end of the summer, prior to the beginning of the school year, plus have a goal-setting session. So yes, we need to meet.
So maybe we could all agree later on this evening to a date that works for everybody, and then we can get it on the calendar and we can move forward with this?
I'd like to get a date now, because maybe that would help us, whoever still needs to get that done. At least we have a deadline that we're working on. It's not like we're working, we still have time to get to it.
Now, this is to discuss the evaluation once it's submitted.
Correct.
Okay.
Plus,
So if you were not,
we're supposed to have our goal-setting session at the same time.
no, I know that, but
If you're
So-
waiting for those documents to come back, there's no guarantee of what the turnaround time will be.
No, but if we set a date, we can always cancel the date, as opposed to waiting for them to come back and then trying to get another date. I would
Just
prefer-
don't set the date too
In stone,
quickly.
right.
Okay.
okay,
So,
but if you're not part of the evaluation, the superintendent's evaluation, can you still be a part of listening to?
You would not be part of that part of the discussion.
But it's a two-part, we
so
still
we
have
could
board
do the
self-evaluation.
first part all together, right after finance, and then do the superintendent as the last part, so the conflicted members can leave. Okay. I'm looking at the calendar, and Wednesday, the 24th, that's 2 weeks from tomorrow, there's nothing on the calendar. I know that one of the concerns when Joe and I were discussing dates for the finance committee was the open houses and so on that's going on. Well, I don't see anything on the calendar for the 24th, so. Oh, yeah, the Jewish holiday stuff, that's what it is. Yeah. That's what it was, that's what I remember me, Joe.
Yeah,
asking.
it doesn't affect us.
That's probably why it's an open day.
Yeah, okay.
And that was one of our dates too, for the finance committee.
So the
Maybe the
24th.
23rd,
No, it's not
Tuesday,
No,
the
it's
23rd?
We had to do it.
How about Tuesday, the 23rd?
For some reason, I have, is there a building and grounds? Is that the 23rd?
That's
That's the
the- no,
30th.
it's the 30th.
That's the 30th. So, all right with me. I don't know if we get that paperwork back in time, but we can shoot for that, and if not, we
Because,
have a finance committee meeting at that time.
because then the open houses at the high school kind of pick up the following week around the 1st and 2nd of October. So,
You want to shoot for a tentative date, at least try not to plan anything for that date?
Yes.
And then, if we have to postpone it, we will, but at least we have something scheduled.
we should do that, put it on the calendar.
Is that all right with everybody?
Yeah, I have a question for Donna and Chris. Obviously, we have some people who haven't submitted them for whatever reason. What is the statutory requirement of how many have to be in for the process to go forward without them?
There is no statutory requirement, but to have the voice of the board, you need to have 5 people. So with 2 conflicted, you need 5 of the remaining 7 in order for it to be an evaluative instrument that has any merit.
And
The last-
where are we at in that count?
We have 6.
So you have 6.
We have 6.
So
I just had a
would
conversation
suggest that the
with,
last person, if
Yes.
they're in there, and if they're not, they're not.
I had a question with Gwen on Thursday in terms of should we proceed without the rest. And she has not gotten back to me yet. I have not reached out to her because of some other issues. But I can call out tomorrow and see if she wants to do it.
But I heard early, you basically said we're already in trouble, Chris just said we got CUSAC trouble. I mean, I think we need to set a date and go forward. If that person comes forward, fine. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah, the statement of assurance for CUSAC is due in October, so doing it in September makes tremendous sense. Now, is it, so it's a finance committee?
No, I don't know. We didn't get that, but I was just,
Yeah, so we're ready to set a finance committee meeting, correct, Joe? You're going to do a presentation beforehand, or
No,
do you want to save it for that?
The superintendent
The
and
23rd?
self-evaluation, is it,
that's going to be the 23rd.
The
Are we
23rd,
trying to put all
yes.
3 things together
Yes.
on the same night?
Yes. Is that too much? I mean, I don't think the finance committee is going to be too long of a meeting, unless, Joe, you think.
no, do you want
otherwise.
me to, I was gonna make a brief presentation tonight, you want me to hold off until then?
No, I think you should go on with the presentation, and then we can bring any questions, and it'll give the board members time to digest so that they can bring their concerns or questions and so on to that meeting.
But then that has to be first,
And we'll
because
have
that's an
that first,
open,
and we'll have the public there as well.
finance can be closed?
Finance committee on the whole would be,
Okay. All right, well then that's okay. then. All right.
so next will be September 23rd, 7 o'clock here.
We'll discuss that. I think we should open that to the public. But we can have, we'll have a closed session at the end if we need to go into closed session. Right? It'll be open to the public with closed session at the end if we need to go into closed session. If there's questions that board members want to ask in closed session.
That's for the finance part.
For finance, and then we'll
Go into the evaluation.
continue in the closed session with the evaluation.
And this is September 23rd?
Tuesday the 23rd.
At what time?
Right now, it's
7 PM, okay? Does 7 PM work? Is that
7's okay
sufficient
with
time,
everybody?
does everybody think?
in case it's long. Okay.
That's usually when our committee meetings.
Thank you for those board members who have called me and texted me and spoken to me about this as well, and so we finally have a date for that. Okay. Anything else? No. All right. Moving on. Do we have any recognition? Okay. Superintendent's report, public school open.
School opening, and Ms. Kivers will talk to us about the challenge program.
Mr. Mayor, any correspondence? No?
I'm sorry, can I go back to recognition real quick? I know that we've had 2 PTAs in the district recognized by the National PTA, it was Salk and Miller. And I don't know that we can get on to this meeting next week, so maybe we can, at some point, recognize them at our meeting.
That's a very good idea.
I think some correspondence already went out about that, but
Okay.
as soon as they get the paperwork into us.
That's fine, yeah, okay, thank you.
Special committee reports?
Yeah, I'll have one.
You want to talk about last night's? Mr. Weber? Next week?
Yeah.
Okay. Facilities use, paperwork is here. You want to update anybody on our plan?
I don't know, does it fall under facility use?
Facilities, period. Okay, let's skip it till later. Okay, agenda items only. Is there anyone here that would like to speak from the public? Agenda items only. I see one hand.
Okay, I've never been here before. I don't really know how this works, so I'm just here for the first time. I'm a parent from McDivitt,
Okay.
and last year McDivitt had.
Wait, can you just wait one
Sure.
second, because right now,
Okay.
no, you're in front of the camera. The only thing anybody's going to see is your back. So, would you like to at least step up this way and we can get a partial camera
Okay.
view of you?
I'm quite nervous as it is now. I need to be on film.
And before you start, is this about something that's on the agenda?
No, it's not. I don't know how this works. Am I allowed to speak? Should I not speak?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
This is agenda items
So
only.
do I need to
As
sit
towards
back
the
there?
end of the meeting, we will
So I got on camera for
Anything.
nothing?
wave to the camera. Smile. There you go.
I'll be back.
All right, anyone else? Agenda items only? No? Okay. Policy. We have a booklet here. We're presenting for second reading. Some are mandated, some are recommended. We need to approve the following. Any discussion?
Only ones we'll be voting on next week,
Correct. Any discussion on policy? No? Okay. I appreciate whoever did this, but I have old eyes. So, the next time, at least
That's what I do
different.
now.
And I have my glasses on. Okay.
There were compliments. That's fine.
Oh, it's beautiful, and it's very sexual, but it's not good for somebody with old
What is that,
eyes.
like 120?
That's fine.
Curriculum, do we have any discussion on those items?
I have a question
Okay,
on the school improvement network trip to Utah. I know there's no cost to the district as far as the travel part of it, but could you give a little bit of a rationale, Dave, as to what the benefit is to the district, what it's about?
There's two parts to the rationale for this trip. One, we are in a groundbreaking area with School Improvement Network, as they are our data collection agency for the teacher evaluation piece and principal evaluation piece, which is required under Chief New Jersey. And as far as I understand, Old Bridge is the only district, or the beginning district, that is using them for a data collection piece. They took our tool, as you recall, we saved the district some money by coming out with our own evaluation piece that was overwhelmingly supported by the Department of Education and the School Improvement Network, who was already here for our professional development piece. We wanted to work with them to tie in not only teacher evaluation as just a report as to how teachers are doing, but then to connect it to the professional development piece that School Improvement Network offers. So we can not only say, this is where you need to improve, but here's how you can improve it. So we're putting that device together, and that's why one of the reasons why School Improvement Network wants us out there, because they're looking to market this beyond that, past Old Bridge, into other districts. So that's one, and we're meeting with the higher-ups of School Improvement Network to finalize some of our requirements for that. The other piece is I've attended, school boards and so forth, and the presentations they put out there for school leaders is one of the best I've seen. I brought a lot of it back to our teachers last year when I did the opening remarks. A lot of the information I received was from that. I was looking at what's going on in education and how to really truly impact and engage teachers, engage families, and to impact the learners who are resistant to learning.
Thank you.
curriculum? Questions, discussion?
There will be some curriculum guides on here that they've been handed in this week and reviewed, so they'll be on the agenda next week.
No, athletics? Any resignations?
They're usually placeholders, so they haven't had a chance to, so we're just, or they haven't had a chance to interview for it, hopefully they interview before the 12th and put that information out, I mean, the next board meeting, put that information out there. Or, more than likely, the person will continue on in the position. Probably not the case in B, though.
I'm moving on to
I
finance.
have one
Oh,
question
sorry.
on the athletics, please.
Mhm.
Letter G. Isn't that person, shouldn't they have two asterisks? Isn't that a new person in that position?
You know, that probably is, that, yeah, because that is the third, and Stephanie, who does that, probably doesn't recognize that's a son.
Yeah, I believe he was just hired as a
Right.
teacher and
Right.
this would be his. Yeah, and you have the same name as,
She probably lost count at 2.
Finance, we have a bill list, plus a variety of other,
I have a question on page 1. CDW government, $71,319.92. What are those laptop cards being used for? Obviously laptops, but that's what I get, but specifically.
There was, that was the expansion of a lot of the computers that we have in the high school are the XP, and they're no longer supported by Microsoft, so that doesn't receive the updates, and is non-compliant with the park, so they have to be updated and replaced. And we chose to go with laptops because they're more mobile for testing than replacing one unit in one classroom and replacing one unit in another classroom, because they're not really used like that anymore. When we first put, PCs in classrooms, it was, I would guess, considered a luxury to have a computer in a classroom. Now as technology's, advanced past the XP stage, you need to have more than just one to work from as a workstation. So that's where we're going with laptops. They're more mobile. We can make a testing area using them in any room, and it will not impact our industrial arts courses, such as business, that require the PCs being used while testing's going on. So we don't have to take over there while we're doing that. We can make anything else.
how many cards do you have over here?
I think it's like,
Okay.
So it's a card full of laptops?
yes, it's not just card by itself. But
Okay.
Is it performance of the charging station?
yes, perform the charging, syncing, and locks.
Okay.
Straight.
how many of these are 15?
Well, it depends, but I think these are.
So each
I'll give you the
card has
hard
one,
number.
two, three.
Right.
Right.
I think it's,
It says card. I don't know.
Probably the first step, so.
Yeah, there's no other discussion.
Is there any other discussion on finance prior to our,
Are we discussing just the action items, or do you want discussion on anything?
Discussion on anything?
Okay, I have a question on the motion number 3, the budget transfer for should it be 14-15 school year? The transfer from energy, $137,000. This is the first transfer of the year. My question is, we probably only received one energy bill, and we're transferring $137,000 out of energy. Most of it from gas, but have we budgeted too much in energy for the school year, or?
No, what we've done initially is we've decided, we initially budgeted for the cost of the security system out of capital outlay. But when we discussed it with the auditors, they felt that it would be more appropriate to pay for that out of a regular appropriation line that's not capital outlay. So for the time being, we made that payment out of a regular appropriation line, not capital outlay. So this was just transferring the money in there for convenience.
Do we think we're going to be short, come March, after we go through the heating season, will we have enough money and energy if we're transferring $130?
If you asked me that last year, I would say we probably would be okay. Last year, we were $600,000 or $700,000 over. However, we wanted to leave money in capital outlay at this point and not move it up there. So if there's a need to move money into energy, at year end, we will move from the capital outlay. Other questions on anything in finance?
Mr. Merritt is going to give us a brief presentation on is it the monthly
Yes,
treasurer's report?
it's the monthly report of the secretary. And what Mr. Vasili has been trying to put together, as he said, a finance committee meeting for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and we just haven't been able to get a date together. So we decided that I might as well just do this quick presentation on what the monthly report will look like and show you what it did look like before. Now, in order to do that, what I did was in the different districts that I've worked in, and this will be very quick. This is the report of the secretary from the South Bamberg Board of Education. And what this report shows you is a summary of all the expenditures in the district. Regular program expenditures, shows you the original budget. If we make any transfers that we just talked about, the revised budget, the actual expenditures to date, and during the budget process, this for 14-15, a number of board members asked me to give them an update on the expenditures for the 13-14 budget. And I didn't quite understand why, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So, but this is a typical report of the secretary that I've given out in every district that I've worked in. So you will see this, you'll first see a summary report which summarizes all the different programs, again, the budget, transfers, the revised budget, any expenditures, and encumbrances. And encumbrances are commitments that the district already has. So, and then whatever, and this column here is whatever is available. So in regular programs, undistributed instruction, we have $83,000 still available. So it's still very early in the year, and as the year goes on, this money most likely will be encumbered, because whatever's in the budget is typically encumbered. So what you'll see first is a summary sheet of all the different programs that the district has. I'm showing you another district so you can see that we're doing exactly what other districts do. Then,
Mr. Merritt, what does encumbered mean? I'm sure people
okay,
need to
encumbered
know.
means a commitment. For example,
Do you want to stand up here?
I have to work this, so, and I also have this,
Okay,
so
all right.
if I want to show something. So what you will see then is you will see that first summary sheet, which is a one-line item, which represents this total here. Then you will see these detail sheets that show you the individual account numbers that go into that summary. Again, their budget, if there's anything transferred, the revised budget, the expenditures, and encumbrances. Now, to give you an example of an encumbrance for a salary account, we know that at the beginning of the year, we are committed to pay $86 million of salary. So what we do at the very early in the year is we encumber that money so we don't make the mistake of thinking that it's available, which really comes out of the budget. And then as we make payments, this encumbrance will decrease and this expenditure amount will increase. So again, I don't think you've ever seen this type of report, so you will see this on a monthly basis beginning in July.
I like it.
Joe,
Well, what have you, somebody, yes?
the report that you're going to be providing us, will there show variances in the budget? So at least we know where we stand, if we're above or below where we should be? Or-
Yes, you will see an update every month of what the expenditures are. If encumbrances change, for example, when we get to January, we'll know then what the new number is for the state health benefits plan. That encumbrance will go up or go down on the basis of what we already know. But you'll see this every single month. You'll be able to analyze and ask questions on every single account. So again, anything that, and I won't get too technical about the accounting side of this, but anything that in this group here, the 11-100 group, those are regular ed costs. All regular education. So it's the salaries of the teachers, it's textbooks, it's anything that relates to regular ed. So if it begins with 100, it's regular ed. If you have an account number that's 11-200, those are all special ed costs. So 11-200 to 11-229 are all special ed costs. Basic skills costs are 11-230. Again, here you'll see the cost of the, and again, this is South Boundbrook. I'll get to ours. You'll see the cost of the salaries, and if there's any type of instructional supplies that go along with that. 11-240, bilingual. Let me just, so in general, this is, I'll show you our report of what you'll see. So in general, this is what you will see. Here's what, and it's probably going to be a 9-page report that you see each month. Here's what you've been seeing, and I understand totally now why some board members have asked me for an update on the budget. This is what you've been seeing for the last 20 years, I think, and including the year and a half that I've been here. I've been sending you this report, which is a summary of what the budget is. $142 million, but it's so summarized that you as board members really don't know anything about the ins and outs of what's going on in the budget, whether we have higher encumbrances, lower encumbrances. So that's what you've been seeing. I think is way too general. I just really started to focus on this when I was being asked questions by board members that came on the board this year in January, and I committed at that point to change it, not in the middle of the year, but during the new year.
Joe, since you're going to get a more concise line item report, could you circulate the general ledger coding for us? So at least we have legend, so we can cross-reference the ledger coding.
There's a heading over each one.
You can see what it is.
Okay. Because each line item has its own GL code, so if we had the exact.
So again, here, for the old, this is actually out of our accounting system. So it's the report of the secretary from the Old Bridge Board of Ed. This is a little more condensed where you'll see and this is the summary page, where you'll see the budget, the actual, the over and under, and again, all of the regular ed programs, special ed programs, again, summary of what is to follow. And it totals to the $142 million budget, what the expenditures are to date, what we have encumbered already, the payroll, the health benefits, and what's unencumbered at this point. Now here's where you'll get into the details. And again, it's a little different from the South Boundbrook model that I gave you, because here they show you the number first, that's the budget for regular programs, salaries of teachers. These are kindergarten teachers, these are grades 1 through 5, these are 6 through 8, and these are high school teachers. This is home instruction cost, and then basically everything else related to regular instruction. So again, you will see the budget, you'll see the detail that goes into that line, you'll see the expenditures. So I don't know, Rich, does
That's
this...
where we're just saying.
I'm getting confused, yeah. Since it's just a general title or heading, I would rather have it drilled down a little bit more. So if we had the general ledger sheet,
I can
high
give you
school
the-
salaries, it would
Right,
make life
110, we
easier
don't
for
know
me.
what 110 is, we won't know what 120 is, but if we have a legend, like Rich is saying.
If I give you the chart of accounts, CJ, what is it, 250 pages? What we can do is we can...
Based upon the ones that are used more often.
No, but what we can do is we can change the account names in here.
Well, and what, even if we print out the budget titles and homeroom budget, it has the titles next to it too, those categories.
Joe, why don't you put that portion of it online, so if they need to cross-reference.
Right, we can use the reference, correct.
Not having to print out.
But Joe, the way you were,
That's a better software than what we have.
Joe, the way that you were explaining it earlier, right, you were saying that the 11-230, I think it was special education, and you said something regarding to like 11-100 to 11-200 was something
It
else.
was regular ed.
I mean, I think, and I don't know exactly what these guys are asking for as well. I mean, I know what I'm thinking is if there was some sort of just summarizing, is that what you're looking for, Rich?
I'm looking for a legend, so when I go into an account, I know exactly where that money is going. Because
Right.
what's up there now is just gibberish. Here, you got 6 accounts for salaries, I wanna know
It
which
doesn't have
account
to
was
be every
paying what.
single account, you know, listing, I understand that every single account would take 200 pages, but if it just gave me like a range and said this range is, you know, general ed.
Okay, what we'll do is when we send out the first report, I'll give you a legend of what it is. But at the same time, we will go in and correct or change the account names, so the account names reflect what it is. It's really, that's
If we
where
can
the
do that
problem
on the summary, that would be very helpful.
And what data format is this in?
is. What data format?
Yeah, I mean, is it Excel, is it a CSV?
No, this is,
PDF it's gonna be?
you're gonna get a PDF, but this is from Computer Solutions Accounting Software for School Districts. It's not, I mean, it's exportable out, but it's even more complicated if it's exported out.
For the product.
Yeah. So again, 11-100 is our regular programs, and here you'll see the summary at the top and then the details that go into that account. 11-200, they're all spent, again, it's the summary budget for special ed, salaries of teachers. Now, these are all different categories, like we have 5 or 6, just like in the regular ed, we have kindergarten, we have 1 through 5, we have 6 through 8. In special ed, you may have learning disabled, you may have autism programs. Each one of these 11-2 numbers represents one of those different programs. So we, like you can see, we have to expand on all these names so that they should be more descriptive, so that you don't have to look at a legend to see what they are. Now 11-230 is the basic skills. So now basically this is it. This is what you're going to get beginning in July, August, and you'll be able to look at the budget, the expenditures, whatever is unencumbered, and if you have any questions, and I think it will educate you more about what's happening with the budget, because before you just couldn't draw any conclusions about what programs cost, and I'm hoping that when we get to the budget process and we have a discussion, it will be more relevant when you can see that, well, basic skills cost us $2.6 million. We can see how many teachers that represents, or how many teachers we have as kindergarten teachers. So the template is basically the same in all the accounts. So once you get the 11 and the next group of numbers defined for you in terms of what it is, then it's salaries, other salaries, purchase services, supplies, and textbooks. Now 11-400, those represent co-curricular activities for student activities and also for athletics. When we get to 11-000, then we get to district-wide costs. And the first group that you'll see is tuition. Now these are tuition line items. Again, I think we could expand on these names so that you know more clearly what they mean, but this means tuition to another school district for regular education. Now this could be something where we have a homeless child that's living in another district and they're just a regular ed student because of Hurricane Sandy, and we have to pay tuition to that school for a regular ed student. Here, I believe this is special ed, where we're sending another child to another public school or special ed program. But again, these are district-wide costs. 11-000 to 11 are the costs of the attendance officers for the district. Health services, district-wide nurses. I believe 11-216 are nurses. 218, I believe, is guidance. 219 may be extraordinary services, OTPT, or could be child study team. See, I don't even know what they are offhand. I have to look at the legend also. Improvement of instructions, this is the cost of all the supervisors that we have in the district. 222 is educational and media services. These are the cost of the technicians that we have in the IT department. 223 represents instructional training for teachers. This is where if teachers go out to a workshop, they come back and they do a training, so that type of money we paid out of that account. 11,230, this is general administrative. This is the cost of the superintendent and the central office. 11,240, the cost of all the principals, principal secretaries. 11,251 is the cost of the business office and the technology department also. Operations and maintenance is 261, 262. 270 is transportation. You'll see the salaries that we pay for transportation. You'll see how much we have budgeted for contracted services, which has been a major topic in the last few days. Contracted bus services. And now we're down to health benefits. Health benefits, Social Security costs, pension costs. So all these things you will see on a monthly basis, what the budget was, what we spent so far, what's been encumbered, and what's left. So, any questions or comments? I'll try to do that as quick as I could without...
I have some
Yes.
on items where we have a shared service and we pay partial, whether it's ROTC or grant writer or whatever, where is that?
Okay, what happens with the ROTC is we pay the salaries of the ROTC instructors in this 11,140, 100. What happens then is that when we get reimbursed from the federal government, we just credit that account and we reduce that account. So when we make the disbursement, normally we pay the full amount, and then when we get the money back, we apply it to that account to reduce the account. If there's money that's received at the end of the year, there's a bookkeeping mechanism that we use to reduce the account. We set up the receivable so that we expect to get the money back from the government at a later date. We don't lose it.
What about money that comes in from the cafeteria? How does that fit?
Cafeteria doesn't
Get on here at all?
It's not on here. It's a separate. It's called an enterprise fund. Typically, what happens is that's handled outside the scope of this, and when the year is over, we get a check from Sodexo for whatever the guaranteed profit is, plus whatever it turns out to be, and it gets credited against it. So none of the costs for the cafeteria is here, except one item, which we will be discussing tonight, the noon hour shift officers. That's the only cost that the district absorbs that relates to the cafeteria.
And new ovens or equipment just goes in under...
What we've done since I got here is we've taken the cost of those things, of those type purchases, out of the accumulated profitability of the food service fund. Prior to me getting here, the district was absorbing those costs. Now, we are allowed to spend that money out of the enterprise fund as long as we don't exceed the accumulated profits in that fund.
And the price for electricity and energy use and water use at the field house and Lombardi's not on here either?
No, the cost of utilities is somewhere energy, gas, energy electric, and I think 490.
My question was, it's not separate, it's incorporated in with
Yes,
the other.
yes. So that's what you'll be seeing effective July and going forward, and I think it would make for an interesting conversation for the Finance Committee meetings also. So we can discuss at the Finance Committee, if there's issues, we can bring it up at the draft agenda. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Jim.
Board members, any questions, discussions?
I was splitting there too. I was like,
Let's recommend the transparency.
it's all right.
All right, we're still in finance, so we need to move the bill list. And budget transfer. Can I have a motion, please, for finance 1 and 2?
Sure, I never make much.
Thank you.
Then we'll second finance.
Thank you.
Porcelli?
Yes.
Prima?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Hartman?
Yes.
Mongan?
Yes.
Singh?
Yes.
Solakowski?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Andriani?
Yes.
Motion's 1-2 pass.
Thank you. Right, moving along to page 8, non-certificated personnel office. 3 people on here. Questions, discussion? Operational is nothing. Non-certificated personnel other, which is numbers 1 through 14. Under certificated personnel, we have an action item. Number 1. We'll do that first, and then we'll discuss anything else afterwards. So this is page 11, number 1 only, certificated personnel.
Then we'll make a motion to certificate personnel item 1.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hoffman. Now, any discussion? This is, we're having a little trouble with difficulty trying to find certificated personnel for this particular certificate. So, no discussion? Okay, roll call.
Porcelli?
Yes.
Prima?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Hartman?
Yes.
Mongan?
Yes.
Singh?
Yes.
Solakowski?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Andriani?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Thank you. Any discussion on the rest, which is numbers 2 through 14?
I just had a question on 6B.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, I'm sorry, we're not in that section, sorry. I'll wait. I'm anxious.
Okay. Like non-certificated personnel transportation. Transportation. Miscellaneous.
On number 2, I think that should be June 2014.
Noted.
But they were very late.
Donna, as we've been going through each section, just wanted to ask, since nobody's adding anything other than when we got through curriculum, there's not going to be any other additions when we get the agenda home on Friday to any other sections that we know of now.
That's why there's placeholders there. If we put something there, so it's not a surprise to the board. In years past, there was nothing there, placeholder, we put a placeholder there, so, you know, if something is pending, we're having an interview tomorrow, and it's an essential position, that's why we have it.
No, for example, last month, there were motions added on the Friday that the packet went home, for example, purchasing iPads or whatever, for whatever reason, just to reiterate the fact that it would be nice if, as we're going through, if there's anything that you know of, of course, if you don't know it, you don't know it, that we could just be told if we're going through the agenda.
Well, we do tell you, and we do highlight it either in blue, yellow, or some color, so you're advised when you receive the agenda on Friday that it was not on the draft agenda. I again advise you at the board meeting, and if it's something that's added in one of my my sections or any other section, you know about it over the weekend, you're free to reach out to anyone asking questions.
Oh, no,
You
nobody-
always advise that something that wasn't on the
Yes, we were
draft
advised on
agenda.
Friday, but if you know that you're going to be adding something, for example, if you're interviewing and you're going to be adding a motion under certificated staff or something, you'll say, well, we might be adding some motions under certificated, or under curriculum, you might be adding some curriculum money, or some other trick or something. That's all I'm saying. Yes, on Friday when we get it, it is highlighted, and we know it then.
In the past, what I think is probably been, giving board members a little more insight is, when items are going to be added on the final agenda after that package release, they were added as an addendum to the agenda always. For that reason, number one, they're grouped together in a single place. And based on the significance of the item, if you don't feel you have enough time to make a decision, as opposed to if you put it on, if you just mix it in with the regular agenda, you're circumventing kind of adding it on as an addendum item. I mean, you know, that's what it seems to me. And I would rather see it separately identified as an addendum to the agenda.
The other thing, Mr. Mara, is getting it impacted on Friday, even though we are notified, we don't have board discussion time. So,
Well, look, we can do that, but very often there could be something that's known late Friday after it's sent out. There could be something that changes on Monday, and something that changes, and there could be a few things that change on Tuesday. So normally we leave the addendum to those items that come up after the package has been delivered. I mean, there's a gap now between today, if there was something that you didn't get on Friday, it would be highlighted today if we knew about it.
Yeah, I like it that way.
So if there's something that happens between now and Friday, we put it on the new agenda, we highlight it for you. I don't think it's really an addendum because it's a new meeting. So, but we do highlight it for you, we explain where it is, and then normally an addendum is anything that is after what's distributed on Friday. So I think if we do an addendum from now until next week, the addendum is going to be a moving target until we get to Tuesday.
I would not like to see an addendum for items such as that. My particular example was the item that was added to purchase the iPads. And when I asked about it, you advised that you did not know the amount. That's why the motion was not put on
No,
until Friday.
that's not what I said. What I said was we did not have the quote. And since the issue is something that relates to the timing of the school year and ordering these things so that they get here fast, if that was something that happened at a different time or where timing wasn't an issue, we could have waited another agenda.
Right, no, I understand. I understand the reason to get it so that it's in the students' hands, you know, as soon as possible so they can use it. My only point was saying that if you knew you were going to be adding it, why couldn't you have said at the agenda meeting so that we could have discussed it then, so that we would have known. I mean, when it came home Friday, questions were asked, what is it for? Because we didn't know that it was for the kindergarten. It just said purchase of iPads. That's just the only point. So,
I'm going to suggest that in the future we will do that if we know, but at that point we did not know we would get the quote by the time that Friday would come in, or if we would get a quote that's favorable that I didn't put on an agenda. So, you know.
that was my example.
Right,
Fair
but, you
enough.
know, but that's why we send it out, so there's time for questionings, but if there's ever an opportunity where we think we might know something that we don't have the opportunity to work.
And I can say, prior to my arrival, those type of things, as the iPad, were not even put on the agenda, because they were part of co-op purchasing or shared services. So they weren't, so the board didn't find out about them until they wound up on the bill list. I'm giving the courtesy to the board of advising you of any purchase that's over $36,000, even though I'm not obligated to, so that you're aware of it well in advance of what you were aware of it before.
But we like to discuss things at the agenda meeting, not at the public meeting. So that's why I'm saying, if there's something that you think you might be adding,
I agree,
just let us know.
I would
And
prefer the
that was my
conversation at
only
the agenda
point.
meeting always, so I agree with you 100%. We'll try to do that, and that item, you know, they're also as part of the budget too for them.
Thank you.
I think we left off at transportation.
Yeah, miscellaneous.
Well, we're ending transportation and we're beginning miscellaneous, so there we go. Anybody else? Where is miscellaneous? Mr. Mario, any other business we need to discuss?
No.
No? Okay, if there's no other discussion from the board meeting, board members, I'll open it up. Members of the public, raise your hand.
Time.
Come on.
My encore,
Okay. Could you state your name for us?
Stephanie Mizone Bolstead.
Okay. I
I'm
know
a
you said
parent.
McDivitt.
I'm a parent at McDivitt. I have a second grader and a fourth grader. Last school year, we had 4 second grade classes with approximately 77 students. This year, we're cut down to 3, and we still have we have 78 students, and we have 26 students in each of those 3 classes. When we add in the inclusion for the specials, it puts us way over about 35. We understand that we can't do anything for this school year, but we currently have 4 third grade classes, and we'd like to voice our concerns about keeping those 4 third grade classes for next year, so that we don't have 26 kids per class. I've spoken to a lot of parents from other schools, and unfortunately, their response was, 26 kids is normal. That's, you got it easy. You only have 26. The max is 30. That's a lot of kids in a class. And I think more parents should speak up and voice their concerns about this, and unfortunately, a lot of parents are afraid. A lot of parents are afraid to come in here and say, we're not happy with the number of students. I don't know if there's repercussions for coming in here and saying something, but I will be the person to do that. But we have 26.
You have to give back your Swedish fish if you took one.
I didn't take anything. But that's our concern. Our concern is that we're able to keep our 4th class of 3rd grade for next year. Nothing we can do for this year. We've accepted that. But 26 students with a 4th classroom sitting there empty, it's very disappointing when we know that we have 4 classrooms and there's 1 sitting there empty. So that's our concern, and that's what I wanted to bring to the board tonight.
Thank you. What I did not know, in terms of enrollment for the class, was that when those students go to one of those specials, the inclusion, there's a group that go with them?
Yes, there is.
Possibly up to another 12 students?
I believe there's 11. I could be wrong on that number.
I could speak to that. And is that 4th grade?
It is 2nd grade at McDivitt.
Oh, you're talking about the second.
I'm talking about
grade
2nd
classes.
grade. We had 4 classes. We were cut down to 3 classrooms.
So now they're
26 students
in 3rd grade.
in 3rd grade. In each of the 3 2nd grade classes, there are 26.
Yes, we do not have 11 or 12 3rd grade special education students at McDivitt School.
How many do we have? Is it 8?
3rd grade, I think we have
7 or
7.
8.
7 or 8, okay.
Right. But if they're divided over the 3 different classes, there will only be 2 additional students in each of the classes.
Will they divide them, or will the entire class, inclusion class,
No,
go
we
in?
have divided them. Actually, we've done morning meeting, and
Okay.
we've taken the class, and we've divided them among how many ever classes at that grade level. So we would probably put 2 or 3 in each section. And they actually go to homeroom right now in the morning, and then they would go to those same classes for their specials.
So that would be 29 children.
I think that there are 7 at the 3rd grade level,
Well, the
and
max
there are
would be
3
29.
classes.
So that would raise our total for specials with the inclusion to about 29.
Correct.
Okay.
Do any of those students travel with paraprofessional? When they go
Yes.
into the...
Yes.
So there's another adult in the classroom when those teachers go in there.
Mhm. That I know. I know that there's another adult in the classroom.
And I commend you for coming out, and then I always say that parents have to be advocates for the child, and I recognize that and I applaud that. As school administrators, our job is to uphold board policy, and we have a policy of 28, I believe, correct, of general education students in that grade level. So, everyone would like to have a class of 19, I think, and we probably explore this every year, at least for the past 7 or 8 years I've been in the district, I've been at least one board meeting where it's at least brought up at some point or another. And that's the hard part between, wanting to do more for children, but also supporting policy that we have in place. And it's not the fault of any board member, it's just having to have a financial plan that also meets the needs of the students and setting a policy that has a hard set number on it. I spoke to Donna Kipper about it, who is our assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction. If she'd like to add anything else, I know she's done a lot of homework on it.
Unfortunately, we do have, bubble grades and higher populations in different sections of town from time to time. Overall, our class size is really very good, but we do get a class of that size every now and then. Is it, do we want it that way? That's board policy, as Mr. Cittadino said. Our job is to uphold board policy, and even though that there's an empty classroom in that building, that's wonderful. But then we have to look at the cost of putting a teacher in there, and is it as cost effective to do that at that time? So there's many, things that figure into play here. Yeah.
We had the 4th, 2nd grade last year, and the budget was cut to bring us down to 3 with the same amount of students. So we currently have 4 3rd grade classes, 4 4th grade classes, and 4 5th grade classes. Our fear is that there is some type of goal in McDivitt to cut us down to 3 classes per grade, starting with the 2nd grade. And I'm sure that you're all aware that with the full-day kindergarten, we currently have 3 kindergarten classes with 26 students in each of those 3 classes, and 10 students that we couldn't handle that had to go to other schools. And they're going to look to bring them back for next year for 1st grade, which currently has 3 1st grade classes. That will bring our total up to 88. Would the budget then bring back another teacher to reinstate us to 4 for 1st grade? And with the number being 26 per class, would we be able to keep that 4th class for 3rd grade? That's our concerns. We understand for this year we're at 3 classes.
At this time, we can't make that determination
Okay.
because of the influx of population, people moving,
Mhm.
transferring out. Every year, we look at the enrollments. Right now, your enrollments in those 3 classes are 23, 23, and 24. And then with the push-in of special education students, and in many instances with the paraprofessional aid in the related arts classes, that's not unreasonable. We have that in many of our schools. Our class size, as I look at the list, it's comparable across the board. We do have special education classes housed in many of our schools, and we do have to provide for that integration in general education classes. And certainly the numbers go up, but they're not there the whole day, and there's a paraprofessional with them, and that greatly supports all the children in that class. But we do look at our class enrollments every single year and make adjustments accordingly based on the population of the rising class to that grade.
And it was my understanding when I spoke to our admin that we had a large number of students enroll the Friday before classes actually started. So I think that played a large role in skewing the number if you have students that are registering for school the Friday before school.
We have students registered every single day.
Oh, I know. But the teachers had told me that we had a large number of students show up to register the Friday before school. So I don't know if the budget is set prior to that with the number that we had for 1st grade, and then we grew much more. Our concerns, and we're looking to just voice them now, is our hope is for next year that we can keep the 4th class.
We'll certainly look at it and give it great consideration.
Thank you.
I have a question. You said that your child has 26?
There
in
are
that class?
26 in each of the 2nd grade classes. There are 3.
And Ms. Kibble, those are not the numbers that Ms. Kibble just ran?
No, they're not.
Add the special ed.
We had the special ed and
You're not talking about the special needs students,
No,
right?
I'm saying that there are 26 in each class. That's what I was told, that there are 26 in each class.
I go to school today. I have a total of 70 students enrolled in grade 2 in the McDivitt School, gen ed students.
So there's the 7 and the other 7 that Ms. Kleist just said. So that's 70 and 7 is 77. There's the 77, right?
as a board member, I just want to explain to you what I look for, and being a parent of a fifth grader, I certainly understand your concerns because we are very sensitive to those facts. We look at the numbers constantly, and as a board, we discuss what we can do to alleviate some of the pressures that are on our teachers and also our students. We find that we want to have a very optimum class environment, and we understand that when we approach 26, 27, some of the students are getting filtered because teachers have to teach differentiated instruction, and it becomes very difficult. So I can speak, for a few board members who have children in elementary school. I know that Kevin Borsilli also has children in elementary school, and we're very cognizant, and we are watching because we don't want those numbers to exceed 26, 25. So we are watching, we are discussing continuously with the administration to see what avenues we have to try to get those numbers down. But we are cognizant of it, and it is always a discussion with the Board of Education.
Just for clarification, again, so there's 77 total, but there's 70 general ed. So you're at 26 in each of the classrooms, which is the information you were given. This is clarification for myself as well. That would include homeroom and the specials. But your academic core classes would not include those children, so you still only add 22, 23, and 24. Is that correct?
It would depend on the IEP, what's stated in the IEP.
Okay, I wouldn't know that.
No, okay.
So in the max amount, the max is 26, it's not 26 plus special
Right,
ed.
that
Okay,
was my
that's-
question.
okay.
26 plus
Okay.
any inclusion or additional special needs, or it was 22, 23.
I thought it
plus
was
whatever.
26 plus the special ed.
I don't think that's the
Okay.
case, but we'll get that
Okay.
clarified.
And
Okay.
Historically, the administration tries to start alleviating concerns with too many students in a class when we get 25, 26. What is our policy? Is the policy 28 or is it 30?
Depends on the grade level.
Okay. Could we explain what the policy is so that the parents in the room understand what the policy is and what we do to try to
There's two policies.
Okay.
There's the formal board policy, which is 30. Then we have an operational policy, which was 23 in kindergarten, 26 in first grade, and 28 second, third, fourth, and fifth. That's the operational policy.
And what we've done in the past 2 years is change the way we track students in classrooms. We have a new form that Ms. Kibler has in front of her that identifies them. Instead, it used to be 12 different forms for 12 different grade levels. You have to flip through, and it's very difficult to see those bubbles. We instituted a few years back this new form, all in Excel spreadsheet, highlights, automatically populates and highlights and changes the color when you get to certain populations. So we always know how many are in the building and in every classroom, and it's never our goal to diminish the number of teachers that we have and increase class size. Our goal is always to maintain board policy and give the most efficient education to our students as possible, thorough, efficient education. And I also recommend, we discussed this just the other night at a strategic planning meeting, our enrollments and figures going forward. I would encourage you, when you see those posted strategic planning meetings, that you come out and take a visit and take a look at our enrollments and what our plans are going forward. Mr. Weber chairs that, and he provides a lot of key information.
And just so you're aware of it, prior to the referendum in 2001, my youngest child spent grades 1 through 5 at Sheets Grade School between 27 and 29 students in the class. That was one of the, not his particular case, but that was a district-wide issue, and that was one of the driving concerns when we brought middle school back online and made major additions to classrooms, because it was those boards' desires and this one to try and get those class sizes down. So it's a constant problem not problem, but it's a constant challenge to be monitored and have children properly assigned to the right schools so that you can achieve the results you're looking for.
Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention, and we all understand your concerns. Every single one of us has had students go through the district.
Well, thank you for hearing me and allowing me to speak.
No, but, when we hear 22, 23, we're okay. When I hear 26, then I start to get a little nervous myself, even though the board policy is that, as much as we would like to, trying to be thorough and efficient, we'd like to keep those numbers down as best we can. Sometimes it's a little difficult. But thank you. The lady next to you is going to hand up a few
I'm just kind of partnering on this, and I don't want it to drag on any longer than it needs to. Can you give us just so we absolutely understand, you're trying to keep the numbers down to the extent that you can, right? But what happens if our kids, our second graders,
just sort of fall within that bubble year after year after year. Is there a point where, as you're evaluating the numbers in the classes, you say, hey, how about we cut this grade a break? And, you know, maybe they've had 26 kids in their class for 2 years straight. Maybe now we say, okay, we shift around a teacher from a different grade. I mean, or are they just stuck in that bubble?
Always, and what I can tell you is, when we assess this, you know, and the data we're looking at now states that aside from kindergarten, where we're seeing a spike of enrollment because of full-day kindergarten, across the other grade levels, we're seeing a decrease in enrollment. So we're not looking to have a, as the number of students fall off at the latter end of the school and just say, well, that's another teacher to get rid of. We would then take those teachers and then move them to areas where there's a higher enrollment and to better serve the needs of the students.
You may think that we spend most of our time talking about finances. In many cases, the enrollment topic is a very hot topic, and we spend a lot of time looking at data.
Listen,
every year.
Oh yeah, trust me.
And I applaud
I
every
have more
parent.
of an understanding of what you guys do than you probably understand. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of get an idea of how it, the thought process behind it.
Listen, I applaud every parent coming up and talking about curriculum and academics, because I think it's been about 10 months since I heard the word concession stand. So, thank you.
And I also want to thank you for coming. And what you all need to remember is, and they should never be afraid to come, because without your children, there is no school. So whenever these parents decide that they're too afraid to come, for whatever reason it may be, everybody in here is equal. There isn't anybody any better or any, you understand what I'm saying? Okay? Those parents need to come. They need to let us know what's going on. We all would like to have less children in a classroom. Okay? And like Donna said, it's something we look at all the time. All right? Go to your PTA meetings. Let these parents know that if they have any problems, they need to come and they need to address them. Because like I said before, without your children, there is no school district.
And I am on the PTA, I am the treasurer, I'm also a grade coordinator, so I'm very, very involved with McDivitt. I'm
Good.
there on an almost daily basis.
Good.
But I can honestly tell you that there are a large number of parents that are afraid to come in here and stand up and say their school name and say their name.
And they should never be.
No, absolutely not. And don't let it fester. If you have to sit and you're waiting 2-3 weeks to come to a meeting to talk about that. Every single board member has, believe me, we get phone calls and email all the time, as well as almost everybody else's door is aware of 24/7 policy by computer. So don't get yourself all anxious because you're waiting for a meeting. Please find somebody to express your concern, so that you can take a deep breath and you can move on, as opposed to having it.
If I may,
Okay.
if I may, I'm sorry, I forgot your last name, I'm sorry.
Ms. Ownbolstead.
But Stephanie, she did
I
contact.
did.
Okay.
And I in turn contacted Dave, and I think Donna and Dave
Right.
were prepared to be.
So I want to thank you for using social media as a way to engage parents and get us
As everybody
involved.
said, please, that's what we're here for. People should not be afraid. That's ridiculous.
I mean, going to the principal or going to Mr. Cedino or Ms. Kibler, of course, it should be your first step, but we're all always available. Mr. Basile, you wanted to say something?
No, I just wanted to add to it, and we are all very approachable. I'm the treasurer of my daughter's school PTA as well. So a lot of us are very involved with the PTA, and you were mentioning before that you don't know, what can happen if you come to these meetings. The worst case scenario is you wind up like me, you wind up sitting on the board.
Can I ask a question?
Certainly.
Isn't it possible you can move a para to help out the parents since they're voicing their concerns and the class size was reduced? Isn't it possible you can move them to help out the teachers?
Well, most of our paras are set in the positions that they're
Right,
at, and I
but
shouldn't be answering
can't-
that.
Can't
I'll
you
put it up to Mr.
acquire
Cedino.
the funds from emergency funds to help out the parents since they are concerned about it?
Again,
Tax money
but
that's
then,
going to-
and just my answer to your question, then I would be violating board policy, because the policy states when you need a paraprofessional in the classroom and the numbers to do so. So if I do it because the parents would like it, even though the numbers don't exceed the board policy, and then I'm opening myself to every time a class hits 23, 24, it'd be nice to have a para, but I have to send a paraprofessional there. paraprofessionals are, most of them in our district are driven by the student's IEP.
I think this
Do you
fellow is there
understand, do you understand what an IEP is,
Yes,
sir?
yes, I
Okay.
do. My son
I'm
has an
sorry.
IEP,
Okay.
that's all, yes.
We might have to revisit some of the policies too. I mean,
I was
some
just
of them,
gonna say that.
some of them have probably been in
But-
place for longer than any of us know.
There should be some type of way you can do it for an emergency situation. The class size was larger last year, and now it's reduced. And now the parents are concerned about it. Shouldn't it be addressed now instead of next year?
There's also a budgetary issue. The accountability regulations, which regulate pretty much everything the board and administration want to do.
Okay.
The executive county superintendent will not approve a budget that has paraprofessionals that are deemed, and this is not at the human level, this is at the legal level, that are deemed unnecessary. So while you're right that it would certainly help to have another body in the room and have another adult taking pressure off the teachers, if it's not IEP driven, the board is hard pressed to get that past the county and approved.
You know, as a parent and member of the public, you know, we get driven by your heart and your emotions and whatever. Unfortunately, we have legal issues, we have state mandates, and as much as we would love to do something like that, sometimes that puts us in jeopardy as well. So we can certainly look at what we can do with numbers as we move forward. But again, thank you very much for coming. Okay. Anyone
And
else?
if I just say to you, that there's one parent that did reach out to me through social media and Twitter, and I don't like to go back and forth with the social media world. And just looking from the profile picture, I don't think it's either one.
That
Is
was
it
my
you?
big mail.
Is it you? Okay.
It was me.
It's a great picture. Let me just
I didn't really do my hair very good tonight. I'm sorry. I had soccer practice.
I'm
with my
glad that
son.
we were able to have this report and this conversation, because, you know, unless you give me a phone number, I can't get back to you, and I don't like to go, I like to use Twitter to provide information, but don't like to have conversations the way.
Okay.
Okay, so, but thank you. And you do a nice job on Twitter as well.
Thank you. You do.
Anyone else, members of the public? Ms. Saladino wanted to say something.
Yeah, I have her.
You have her notes?
For it, yes.
Okay.
Under certificated staff number 6, the long-term subs, we think there are some subs in those positions, but the names are left off.
We can look into that more, and it may be there's a per diem in there, and the per diem may be interviewing to become a long-term sub.
Okay.
I'm not sure if because they're on our per diem list, and they hold the right certification, and they may be interviewing to get that, but I can't make them a long-term sub until they apply for the actual position.
Okay.
I'll look into that one.
I
further.
think
think
that
6B
was
you're
it.
talking about?
6B, yeah, I'm pretty sure there was somebody in there for 6B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And I know who is actually in there right now, too.
That's actually
Yes.
exactly what you said is what the situation is. We
So,
have a daily sub
okay.
in there and we're, waiting it out.
I think that's all she had.
All right. And I'll close, if there's no other comments from the public, we'll close that section. Board members, any old business? And mix it together with new business?
All right, old business, we've had the iPads for a year now,
Okay?
and I would, just as one board member, I hope the rest of the board would agree, that we get a report of the first year as to how well they've worked in terms of our integration of our curriculum, how they're being used and maintained across the whole platform, and if there's any measurable change in any test scores at this point. I know that's awful early to expect that, but it would just be a question I'd ask, and hopefully have a report for the October agenda.
Just curriculum wise, or do you look at
No, the whole
park and testing and
process,
stuff?
the whole process.
Well, I'll give you a call. I mean, that's a wide gamut of information I can provide you. I mean, and sometimes I provide you with information, sometimes it's too much information. I can provide you with what apps you're using, how often you're using those apps. And
I'm not a guy that ever says it's too much information.
all right.
New business?
Would you like it for all technology or just iPads?
No, I like it, because that's kind of a new innovative piece that we've had, and I'd like to see how well has it achieved the things that we intended it to, and has it exceeded them, whatever the status is.
Anyone else? Old business?
Mr. Stokowski, do you want to discuss these dates? now, or?
Yeah, what I'm trying to do is, instead of having meetings Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, is to run most of my meetings on Tuesdays. In other words, before the agenda and after the regular meeting. So what I'm trying to do is set up curriculum for the fourth Tuesday of each month.
Okay.
This way, we will, instead of tying up 3-4 nights
So
during
you
the week.
committed on Tuesdays?
Tuesdays.
As opposed to?
Right.
Schedule?
Well, October 28th, one of the dates that was suggested is here at all the school boards.
Yeah, we're going to speak about that one. Well, Mondays are out.
And then we have, in December, you took out, because that would have been December 23rd, and I don't think we would have had too many people coming to that meeting. And the other dates, I think are going to be okay, that you gave me.
Well, December wasn't in there originally anyway.
Right, December is a meeting.
That's a very difficult month, and there's nothing in June.
You know, we can certainly,
We'll work those,
October
that one
28th.
conflict out with the October.
You looking for the last Tuesday of the month?
Most of them were last Tuesday.
It's October 28th, November 26th, January 27th, February 24th, March 24th, April 14th, and May 5th.
Didn't you say before the agenda and after regular?
No, I didn't say it.
You mean time-wise, date-wise?
In other words, right, no.
That'll be a lot.
This way, major meetings are basically on a Tuesday, okay? And the October one, we have to work out today. Well, we have the first Tuesday, but that's,
The agenda is the 14th, the 21st, the board meeting, the 28th, school board's convention.
right,
So
right.
your best window of opportunity is October 7th, would have been the day after the meeting I scheduled for Monday, October 2nd.
Okay, let's put it in for that day.
So we're looking at October 7th then for the
Right,
first one?
instead of the 28th, because that's conflicted with the school board. Basically, we're all the last.
So it's October 7th, November 25th, January 27th, February 24th, March 24th, April 14th, and May 5th.
Right.
And I'll advise Mrs. Moran that technology will follow us as we
Okay,
go.
we're gonna piggyback.
Is that okay?
No problem.
All right, new
This
business?
way you're free on Mondays.
I had Boy Scout committees on Monday, I've been running back and forth, so we're good. Thank you. Anybody, new business?
Dave, are we going to get an enrollment report from Stephanie, I guess, in the next week or so?
Yeah, I assume that I know we looked at it, she looked at it today.
It's usually the end of the month, but she compiles it.
Yeah, particularly with the new numbers from kindergarten. I mean, of course,
It's tough because,
They're still registering.
right, they're still registering in the high school, they still have appointments to register high school, people who are online to register who just can't get appointments. So, I can provide you information, I'm sure it wouldn't be as accurate as if we wait till the third week of September.
Yeah, that's fine.
I have 589 kindergarten gen ed students registered and 33 special education students registered.
That's up 2 from yesterday.
Same numbers.
620 from last yesterday.
589 plus 33 and 20.
Full-day kindergarten.
Trust me.
So full-day kindergarten working so far.
Gee,
It's
are you
wonderful.
surprised?
I have to tell you, I haven't had one complaint about full-day kindergarten. I visited all 25 kindergarten classes, Wednesday through Friday. I was at every single one of them. And there was a nice article in the Suburban about full-day kindergarten. And we think there's going to be pictures this week because we did do a photo shoot with the Suburban at Miller School on last Wednesday. So it's possible that they will review this week. It was great, great experience, very few choirs and More moms cry than kids, okay.
With that, we need a motion.
I just want to say one thing. Just, because you brought it before, I just didn't think it was appropriate at the moment.
Okay.
Just, there was information that over Saturday there was a storm issue